Hello and welcome to week 2 of my EFL Extravaganza here on Sports Talk on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks very much for tuning in. Don't forget to go ahead and listen to our podcast. Find the links for everything like that in the description. Getting us started is my game of the week, and it's Hull City's 6-1 demolition of Birmingham on Saturday. And it was at the KCOM, an embarrassing defeat for Lee Carsley of Birmingham. It was his last game in charge as caretaker before new boss Steve Cottrell comes in and takes over. He was there in the stands watching on his new team. Not an impressive performance for them as Hull went to a rampant victory. Fraser Campbell scored an early opener that was immediately followed up by a penalty from David Myler, and then the young 20-year-old Jared Bowen, who looks like a real good prospect for Hull this season, he bagged the third, and it's his 7th of the season. And the youngster, he's looking really good for the Tigers so far. He's taken his chances in the starting 11, trying to stay there. 3-0 it was at the break, and there was a late flurry of goals for the Tigers. Kamil Rosicky, Marcus Henriksen and Seb Larsson completed the rout. The Blues, though, managed to grab a consolation goal through Sam Gallagher in stoppage time, but a disappointing performance for Steve Cottrell's new boys, unfortunately. Plenty of work to do for them there. Moving on to the rest of the Championship, and the first game of the weekend, it was Friday night football. QPR lost 2-1 at home to Fulham. QPR's keeper Alex Smithies went up for a corner in stoppage time. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend going and checking it out. Fulham were 2-0 up. Connor Washington had grabbed one back for QPR in stoppage time, and then another corner, all out attack. The goalkeeper goes up, he wins a header from the corner, and he heads it just wide, agonisingly close to being a real headline grabber there for QPR. So they succumb to defeat. Bristol City got a really good victory away to Ipswich 3-1. The young Bobby Reid, he was excellent for City there. A couple of deflections helped them out with their goals, but you've got to give them credit for taking the chances, haven't you? Really good win, and Bristol City are up to 4th now in the table. And Nottingham Forest had lost 4 games in a row leading up to the weekend, but they managed to grab a 2-1 victory at home to Sheffield United after coming from behind. And Wolves continue their good season with a 4-0 victory away to Burton Albion. Diogo Jota with the opener there before Roman Saiss grabbed the second, and it was the 18-year-old Monaco loanee Ruben Vinagre who made the third, and Leo Bonatti completed the rout. Nigel Cloughs-Burton are just 1 point above the relegation zone, but Wolves are sitting pretty in 4th in the table. A point for Cardiff was enough to keep them at the summit of the Championship at home to Derby. 0-0 it was, the Rams languishing down in mid-table. And Aston Villa got another win at home to Bolton. Jonathan Codger missed a 1v1 chance to grab his first goal of the season early on, but he wasn't left waiting for long because he scored a penalty that he won for himself. Neil Taylor, unfortunately, was shown a red card for a silly late challenge on Adam Lafondra to put a bit of a dampener on Villa's performance, but they remain in good form after Gary Medine failed to snatch a point for the visitors in the dying moments. Villa have now won 3 on the trot, and it was Middlesbrough and Brentford with a 2-2 draw when Martin Braithwaite scored his first goal for Borough. They came from behind twice to get the draw with the draw specialist Brentford. Brentford have drawn 6 games out of 11 so far in the Championship, and they've got the most draws out of all the teams in the AFL so far this season. It was a hard-fought point for Sunderland away to Preston North End. It finished 2-2 for Simon Grayson's new boys, and Alex Neil's Preston remain unbeaten in 8 matches. On to League One now, and Peterborough lost again at home to Oxford. 4-1 it was on Saturday. That comes off the back of losing away to Oldham in midweek. Oxford, they were behind 1-0 at half-time, but completed a second-half drubbing of the Posh, who are now in poor form. Oxford slowly moving up the table. The side that beat Posh, as I said, in midweek, it was Oldham. They went to Fratton Park and won 2-1 thanks to a brace from the ex-Pompey striker Owen Doyle. Brett Pittman scored a late consolation for Pompey though, and that keeps him joint top of the scoring charts with 9 goals from 11 games. Shrewsbury are a side whose form doesn't look like getting any worse though. They continued their unbeaten run this season with a 2-0 victory over Scunthorpe. Before a ball was kicked this season, they were 150-1 to win the league. Wish I'd have had a bet on them there. They're the only team in the EFL so far to not have lost a game this season. Their closest chasers, Wigan, are in second place. They also won 2-0, and Will Grigg was on fire with a double at home against Walsall at the weekend. 2-0 turned out to be a popular scoreline this weekend. Bradford beat Doncaster by the same scoreline, keeping them in 3rd position. And a perfect hat-trick for Tariq Fosu saw Charlton climb to 5th in the league. It was a 3-1 win away to Fleetwood for them. Plymouth Argyle remain rooted to the bottom of the table though after a 2-1 defeat to Bristol Rovers, and their fellow strugglers Gillingham also lost 1-0 away to Blackburn Rovers. So on to League 2 now, and things have been looking really good for Notts County. They were top, they'd won 6 in a row. They beat Exeter 3-0, their closest rivals at the top of the league. They beat them 3-0 in midweek. But Danny Rose from Mansfield was there to cramped their style. He scored 2 past them as the Stags beat County 3-1 on Saturday. And Exeter got themselves level on points with Notts County at the top once more. They completed a routine 4-1 win over Morecambe, and it included a really impressive double from Jayden Stockley. Definitely have a look at that one if you haven't seen it yet. Worth a watch. Forest Green Rovers' first season in the Football League is certainly not going to plan. Just 5 points they've got, rooted to the bottom of the table. They lost 1-0 at home to Accrington at the weekend, courtesy of a stunner from Seamus Keneally. Stanley's win, it keeps them inside the 3rd automatic promotion spot in League 2. Chesterfield, just above Forest Green, inside the relegation zone. They've appointed their ex-player Jack Lester as their manager as they hosted Cheltenham on Saturday. Mohamed Issa scored a couple of goals to give the visitors a 2-0 win and leaves Jack Lester still hunting for a way out of the drop zone. A really interesting goal for Coventry though at home to Crewe. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely worth checking out. The ball rebounded off the corner flag and it stayed in play somehow. It was punted up the pitch, cannoned back off the flag. Really incredible to watch. Stayed in play. The winger picks it up, crosses it in, and Duckinson Nazon is there to head home for the only goal of the game. And it's a 1-0 win thanks to the corner flag. So that's it for my EFL roundup this week. Thanks very much for watching. And of course, I've got a clue for you for our audience question for this week. And that is the fact that our rugby player, he was a convert from rugby league to rugby union. So does that help you? Let us know down in the comments if you've got any ideas. We'll be announcing the answer at the start of next week's podcast. Make sure you check it out. It's all in the description. Thanks very much for watching.